In this video, I am going to discuss Indian Partnership Act 1932. What is called partnership and who are called partners, everything that is specifically mentioned in this act. Partnership is a business. It is a relationship between persons who have agreed to share the profits of a business conducted by all or any of them acting for all. So that is called partnership. And those partners, those who have joined in the partnership, they are called partners. And the partners have entered into the partnership are partners, and they have the name of the firm under which they have joined, that is called partnership firm. So these three words coming into picture in case of Partnership Act: partnership, partners, and the firm. So the name or manner under which they have joined, that is called partnership firm. And the persons, those you have assembled, those you have joined to do the business, either himself or for all or acting for all. So this is called partnership. So these are the main three definitions of this partnership, partners, and partnership business. Now let us come to section 5 of this act. Relationship of partnerships arises from contract, not from status. So before entering into a partnership business, the parties must have entered into a contract to do a business in the form of partnership. So definitely it is arising out of a contract, not from the status of the parties. So definitely section 5 relating to this, it is a type of contract. Now let us discuss what is the relations of partners to each other. The partners must be faithful to each other. That is the first conditions. That is the important point. To render all the true accounts of the firm, so all the partners are liable and they are responsible to the firm because they have to furnish the real account of the firm. Then the whatever the cause or anything that has been caused by some partner, definitely the partnership will be held responsible. If any partner, if any of the specific partner is committing any fraud or doing something illegal to the contrary to the interest of the partnership or other partners, then definitely the entire partnership business will be suffered and the partnership will be affected by that. So this is all the relationship between the partners. And then now let us discuss, that is very much specific, what are certain duties are casted to all the partners. First of all, let us what is the duties that is given under this partnership, that is more specifically stipulated in section 9 of this act. Every partner shall indemnify the firm. That means all the partners are vicariously responsible to the firm. That means if any of the partner is causing any anything or any service which is causing loss to the firm, he will be vicariously held responsible. That means all the partners, every partner shall indemnify the firm. Suppose the firm is going to pay certain loss, in that case all the partners are vicariously or indirectly responsible. That is called indemnity to the firm for any loss. That means for any loss the partners are liable to indemnify the firm. That is the essence of this section 9. Whatever the loss that loss must be attributed by fraud or conduct of business, any sort of business that is conducted by any of the partner for which fraud has been committed, the partners are also liable under law, and the partners, whatever the loss sustained by the outside party or third party, that loss must be indemnified by the firm, and the individual partners are responsible for that, and the partners shall have to indemnify the firm. That is stipulated under section 9 of this act. Now let us discuss determination of rights and duties of partners. What are the rights, the duties that is casted to the partners, that is more specifically mentioned in section 11 of this act. Certain duties are there. The partners must be faithful to each other. They must do the duty diligently, sincerely, and they must show the account whatever that has been spent or anything. So every transaction should be made bona fide. So certain duties are given to the partners. Similarly, once there is a duty, so right must be there. So right and duties both are correlated. So once certain duties are given, the partners are also enjoying certain rights. Under this act, all these things are given under this section 11. Now let us discuss section 12 of this act, that is relating to conduct of business. That means all the business of this partnership firm shall be conducted by individual partner. Some of the partners are active partners, some are the dormant partners, some are simply they are spending money, they are utilizing the money and they are sleeping, so they are dormant. So, and those partners are actively doing business in relation to the partnership firm as per their terms and conditions of contract which they have entered, they are called active partners. So, these are relating to conduct of business of the firm under this section 12. Now, section 13 of this act relating to what are the mutual rights and liabilities of the partners. All the partners are enjoying certain rights under this act relating to the business, partnership business. So, all the rights that is given to all the partners, they will utilize their own right to enjoy the partnership business. And similarly, once there is a right, there are certain liabilities. Certain liability means the liability to make loss if something is lost by the firm, the loss of goodwill, many things are involved. Any loss that will be attributed to the partnership, that all the partners are liable under law, that is called liability chapter. And the whatever the firm name is there, what are the entire assets and whatever the properties that is given in the firm, that is called farm property or property of the farm, that is specifically mentioned in our section 14 of this statutory act. Then we will come across another whatever the personal profits earned by partners, section 15. Once a partner is getting some personal profits out of the partnership business, he has to disclose the same before the other partners, so that the other partners will know that this partner has earn certain extra profits or extra business out of the partnership business. So, that must be specifically mentioned, because out of this their relationship with each other and all these things must be disclosed bona fidely. There should not be any sort of suppression or misdiscussion of any of the facts. So, everything must be clearly disclosed by the partners. So, these are relating to certain important aspect of this partnership act. Now let us discuss certain rights and duties of these partners. Once there is a partnership firm which is going on in existence and the business of the firm is going on, certain rights are attributed to these partners. And similarly, once there is rights, the duties are also indirectly correlated with these rights. And rights and duties, all these things are given to different partners. They power to indemnify, to do the business diligently, to make account of anything, any loss that will be calculated, everything that is called different types of rights. And certain once rights are there, certain duties, that means the partners must be faithful and their action must be bona fide for the interest of the partnership or for the goodwill of the partnership business. So, these are certain rights and duties given under this act. Then another important aspect of law, partners to be the agent of the firm, that is more specifically stipulated in section 18 of this act. Partners to be agent of the firm. That means just like law of agency, the agent is doing the business for the principal or employer. So, there is a relationship of master and servant. So, similarly, in case of these partners, of course, there is no relationship of master and servant. Still then, the partners are acting just indirectly like agent of the firm. That means whatever the duties are given in law of agency and whatever the duty that is attributed to agents for appointment of agents, similarly same duties are also given to the partners, and the partners are so that's why the partners are acting indirectly like an agent of the firm. That means they will do the business for the utmost interest of the firm in a bona fide manner, so that they without concealing or without suppressing some of the facts, and everything, all the transactions should be transparent and that is benevolent for the interest of the firm. That's why all the partners are deemed to be like an agent under this act, under this Indian Partnership Act. Now let us discuss some of the liability of partners to the firm, that is more specifically mentioned in section 25 of this act. The liability of partners are every partner is liable jointly with the all other partners and are severally for all acts of the firm done while he is a partner. That means the joint liability is called singularly as well as severally. That means all the partners are jointly and severally liable to the firm for conduct of their business. If any of one of the partner is doing any misconduct or doing some forgery or something like that, then the entire firm will be liable under law. That's why the liability of partners to the firm is more much extensive, that is single as well as joint and several. That's why the liability is called several liability or joint liability in case of partners while conducting their business in the partnership firm. So this is liability of this entire firm. Then coming to section 27 of this act, that is called liability of the firm for misapplication by partners. If any one of the partner he has misapplied or he has done any misapplication, that means he has misrepresented or done any illegal thing, or he has done any fraud or mistake, so the entire firm will be liable under law. So he will be civil liability will come also to law, and for the individual liability of the partners, they individually, they will criminally they will be liable under law. That is called liability of the firm. So the liability of the firm is just like coextensive, and it is at the cause of the partners. So this is regarding liability of the firm. So the firm is liable to the same extent as partners. That means firm being a artificial person, that is given under artificial personality chapter, a firm is also liable under law. That means a firm can be sued or a firm can also sue. So that because it is holding a personality as given under our jurisprudence, so it enjoying a artificial personality. That's why, because it is a civil personality, it is having a civil personality, the firm can be sued. Similarly, a firm can be sued. So prosecution can be drawn against a firm. So these are relating to certain liability as per given section 27. Now let us come to another very important factor, minor admitted for the benefits of partner. That is specifically mentioned in section 30. Whether a minor can be admitted, as per our Indian Contract Act, a contract entered by a minor is void. That is specific provisions under Indian Contract Act. But here under this Partnership Act, a minor can be admitted for benefits of the partnership. A minor cannot enter into a contract, definitely, no doubt. Still then, but a minor can be admitted for the benefits of the partnership business. So that is permissible under section 30 of this act. With the provided there are certain stipulations are there. What are the stipulation? That when a minor is going to be admitted for the benefits of the partnership firm, the consent of other partners is required. So on the consent of the other partners, if they consented and if they agrees, then only a minor can be admitted to the firm for the benefits of the firm. So consent is a precondition for taking a minor into the partnership business for his benefit of the partnership. So he has a right to share the property and profits of the firm. That means once a minor is entered as a partnership and entered into partnership business, he has a right to share the property and the profits of the firm. So that a valuable right given to minors, where he can share the profits of the firm. Similarly, he can share the property of the firm. So these are certain rights given to minors as stipulated under section 30 of this act. Now, so some important things are there. Introduction of a partner. So suppose while doing a business, if one partner is going to be introduced, at the consent of other partners, a new partner can also be introduced. That is specifically mentioned in section 31 of this act. So a new partner can also be introduced, provided the consent of other partners must be taken into account. If the other partners agrees or they consented, then only a new partner can be entered. So this is called entry of a new partner or introduction of a new partner. Then coming to the retirement aspect of partnership, retirement of partners, that is specifically given in the next section 32. That means a partner can also retire either voluntarily, or on the death of a person, automatically a person will go out of the partnership business. So there is a provision of retirement of partners. So once a partner is intending to retire, he has to inform the partnership, the other partners, and after that he will retire from the partners. Once he is going to retire, all his assets, liability, everything will be assessed. Accordingly, he will be paid, and or anything that he dues to him, he will be paid. And if he is liable to pay something, he has to clear up before retirement. So there is a provision, express provision of this retirement of partners, that is stipulated in section 32 of the act. Then, and once there is a partnership, at any time a partner can be expelled, or that is called expulsion of partner. That is specifically given under section 33 of the act. That means once a person or once a partner is misconducting or has done some illegal act, detrimental to the interest of the partnership business, at that time he can be expelled from the farm. That is called expulsion of the partners from the farm. That is called section 33. So that means at any time if a person is misconducting or he has misconducted or he has caused fraud to the farm so that the interest of the farm or goodwill of the farm has been lost, then definitely a person can be expelled from the partnership. That is given under section 33 of this act. Then we will come into what will happen to the person or any partner if he will declare to be insolvent. That is given under section 34. That means insolvency of partner. Once a partner was found to be insolvent or he became pauper, then definitely he has to come out from that partnership business. At that time, if the court will declare or he will declare to be pauper, then automatically he will be declared as insolvent and he will come out of the partnership business. So these are some of the important aspects of this partnership act. Now let us discuss different aspects, the other aspects of this partnership regarding dissolution, liability of partners, after dissolution, everything. Now first let us discuss dissolution of farm. In case of section 39, it is very specifically mentioned dissolution of farm under Indian Partnership Act. Dissolution of partnership between all the partners of a farm is called dissolution of farm. That means once a farm is going to be dissolved, so all the persons, all the partners, they will agree into the term and condition, and as per the terms and condition, it will be dissolved. So that is called dissolution of farm. So this dissolution is of different types of there. First is called dissolution by agreement. Once the partners, they will come into an agreement, they will agree for a certain thing. So after their agreement is entered, the farm will be dissolved. So this is other is called dissolution by agreement. Then another compulsory dissolution. That means once something is there, a farm can be dissolved compulsorily. So compulsory dissolution system or method is also given under this act. Then another aspect, dissolution in happening of certain contingency. That means in happening of certain new things or certain contingency, a farm can also be, a partnership farm can also be dissolved. So this is called dissolution on happening of certain contingency. So this is also another express provision that must be mentioned in the agreement while the partners, they enter into a contract of the partnership business. So this is called dissolution of happening of certain contingency. Then another aspect, dissolution by the court. When the court will intervene, a farm can also be dissolved. So that is called dissolution by the court. So these are different types of dissolution that is specifically mentioned under this Indian Partnership Act. So these are called dissolutions of farm. Now let us discuss liability of partners after dissolution. Once the farm is going to be dissolved, once a partnership farm is dissolved, what are the liabilities? All these liabilities are stipulated under section 45 of this act. What are the liabilities? That means all the partners continue to be liable to the third party for any deficiency or anything that will pending to the third party. So even the farm is dissolved, all the partners are vicariously liable and jointly and severally liable. Even though the partnership farm has been dissolved, they have to make good loss to the third party. Whatever the third party is going to sustain loss, they have to make loss. So this is called another liability given to partners after dissolution, that is specifically mentioned or section under section 45. Then coming to the last portion of this partnership regarding the mode of settlement of account between the partners. Under section 48, it is stipulated how the settlement will be counted and what are the modes that will be settled between the partners. First of all, in settling all the accounts of a farm after dissolution of the farm, certain rules and regulations to be followed. First is losses and deficiency of capital shall be paid first out of profits. Whatever the profits they have accrued, out of that the loss and deficiency of capital shall be adjusted. That is the first method of settlement of this partnership on accounts. Second is called assets of farm shall be contributed by partners to make up the deficiency. Whatever the deficiency is there, that will be the partners will make loss of that by distribution of the same, and they will have to make that payment. Third is levying all types of debt of the farm to third party. Whatever any debt that is outstanding against third party, that must be levied. That means that must be paid by the partners, partners when the farm is going to be closed. So this is another method of the settlement of accounts between the partners. Then the last is called paying of each partners what is due to him from the account as per his share. Whatever the share the invested by the partners, as per his share, whatever the payment he is entitled that is due to him, that will be paid. So this is also another method of the mode of settlement of accounts between the partners when the firm is going to be dissolved. So these are certain methods given as per section 48 of this act. Then coming to the last portion of this act, that is relating to sale of goodwill of the after dissolution. What will happen to goodwill? Goodwill, you must be knowing whatever the benefits, whatever the business the partnership has done, for that they have earned certain goodwill in the market or in the image of the society or amongst the public. So whatever they have earned out of their business, that is called goodwill of the company or goodwill of the partnership firm. So once there is a goodwill, the goodwill, definitely suppose the firm is going to be transferred. So this system is very much specifically mentioned in section 55 of this act, how a goodwill of the firm will be sold in the market after dissolution of the firm. Let us say firm is going to be dissolved. Whatever the goodwill that is extra apart from the business of the firm, so the goodwill, so it is law is settled very much that in settling account of firm after dissolution, the goodwill be included in the assets and may also be sold either separately or along with the property of the firm. So this goodwill can be sold separately or along with the property of the firm. The goodwill can be sold apart from the assets of this partnership business. So all these things are relating to different aspects of this Indian Partnership Act, and this Indian Partnership Act is very exhaustive, and this partnership business is going, all the business is going under this Partnership Act, and the rules and regulations are very particular to the partners, and the very essence of this entire partnership business is the individual, they don't have anything. It is not like proprietorship. Partners are himself liable and jointly and severally liable for the firm. So the partnership conduct, certain conduct, rules, regulation, everything that is mentioned, the partners must adhere or stick to the terms and conditions of their doing business, and they must do all their business in compliance to the terms and conditions, whatever that is stipulated in their agreement. While entering into this partner, they must have entered into an agreement, terms and conditions of contract. So everything must be complied to do a good business in this business. So it is purely, basically it is doing, this is helpful to all the business firms. That's why the Indian Partnership Act is very much prior importance under this act. And the partners must be the prime object of this, the partners must be diligent and must do their business very honestly and diligently, keeping an eye for the interest of the firm. So these are all details of our Indian Partnership Act. So these are some of the very important sections relating to doing business of this partnership firm. With this, I am closing this chapter, Indian Partnership Act 1932.